Now I'm talking about open casting calls. So I talked about a variety of things in my other videos. So if you want to watch those parts and know a little bit about me becoming an actor and my acting history, you can. But open casting calls. So most people, this is basically how I found all of my work that I've done so far through open casting call. And most people find their work through this, as well as through agencies, but as I mentioned, I don't have an agency right now. And I'm trying to build up my credentials and resume before I can get to apply for an agency. But open casting calls, most people, the big ones anyway, most people avoid those, like the ones that are for like Netflix and different things like that. But I'd say go for them. I would go for them, and I have gone for them. The ones that I've seen this year, I've done 2 for Disney, but I don't know if I can say anything about those ones. I most likely won't get the part. I know that's kind of negative talking, but I don't reckon I'll get the part, But you can just go for them, because you never know. I've mentioned Joe Locke's story plenty of times. Miss Marvel, the actress for Miss Marvel. I mentioned many other stories. The actor who played Kate Middleton. And, I forgot the show. But The Crown, yes. The Crown. So that was open casting call, and she did that for Netflix. And I actually saw the open casting call, not when it came out, but as I went back after I found out she found it through open casting. So open casting calls, sometimes you will find actors who found and had success with that. So don't avoid them, because you never know. You could be the next star from Netflix or HBO, Hulu, Disney, maybe. So don't write it off too much. But a lot of people, they don't want to do open casting calls for bigger projects. I'm talking about bigger projects. Smaller projects, still do those. I do those. Most people, they tend to avoid those type of casting calls because they're just going to choose an actor, a famous actor for the role, or they're just going to choose someone with representation who's an up and coming actor, but they're pretty good, right? And I have actually saw quite a few of those instances in recent times as well, so I can see why some people avoid the open casting calls in entirety, but I'd say go for it. It's a good way to practice too, and you just never know. I have recently saw a few times where it went to a big name actor already, so I can get what they're talking about. I've seen it with my own eyes. As I mentioned, I have found most of my work through open casting calls. I found most of the acting gigs through Facebook groups. So I didn't mention how to find Facebook groups, but I'll talk about that now. So with Facebook groups, this is basically where you're going to get all your work locally, or non-local work either, or non-local work if you don't want to just stick within your area. So what you want to do with these Facebook groups is you want to type in the search bar, and you want to type in acting groups in whatever state or country you're living in, maybe even city too. And you want to do that, and a bunch of names should pull up. And what you want to do is you just want to join them. So there's a little circle or rectangle, square, whatever, and it says join, and you want to click on that. And usually some questions will pop up because they want to make sure you're a legitimate person and you're there for the right reasons. And usually they'll say, why do you want to join this group? And I usually say something along the lines. I've heard and I've been told that Facebook groups and acting groups are how to get new jobs for acting and how to find jobs for acting and casting calls. And I'm a new actor, so I want to use these Facebook groups to help me find some more work as a new actor. And you can say something along those lines. I don't say that, I don't make it like a whole paragraph, it's just a sentence or two. But that's essentially what I say for those questions if you need any help figuring out what to type. But you can join those groups. You don't have to join them, but I join them because sometimes they'll private the groups, and now you just lost your opportunity to join. It's a little bit, because if they private them, most likely they're a bit more harsher with who they let in and who they don't let in. And whenever it's a public group, they're going to be more lenient with who they accept. But I just joined all those groups for my area, and you can find them the way I just mentioned, by searching up wherever you are in an acting group, and then they'll post stuff for your local area. Now you do have to watch out for a few things and look into these people too who are posting these casting calls, because sometimes they're scams. There's plenty of scams in every field, in every industry, but especially in acting. They're trying to take advantage of younger, newer, older, just all actors, really. And sometimes people will fall for it. So you're going to lose money, and or you might be putting yourself in unsafe situations, and you don't want that. So just make sure you look into the people who are doing the casting calls before you apply or share or show your interest to the people. How do you look into these people? Well, you want to click on their profile and scan through their Facebook. Or if you're finding these on Instagram, scan through their Instagrams, and if they don't have anything, search their names up on the web. So you can search their name up and then the state that they're in or country that they're in, and you can put that in first. And if you don't find anything with their face on it or their name, it's more likely to differentiate if it's in someone's face, because you know what they look like. But if you can't find anything, then you want to get more specific and put name, state, and then whatever you're in. So you can put film industry or film or director or casting director, whatever they are. And there is a website where you can look up casting directors, and I'm going to put that in a Word document too. I use it to see who's on this list, and it's verified casting directors list. So I don't know the name of the website, but I'll put it down below. The thing about Facebook here, I'll say, is maybe look into getting taking a headshot picture. It doesn't have to be professional because it's on Facebook, but you should get headshots anyway. Although I haven't really had to use my headshot too much for acting thus far, but you will need that eventually down the line, which I have gotten headshots already. But I haven't used them too much, only like maybe twice. So in this past few months, you can take a profile picture and just have like this up, like a little like that, and have like a solid background too. But just take a little picture of your face and then put it as a profile picture. And why do you do this? Well, it helps to validate yourself for the Facebook people, because whenever you're messaging them, if you don't have to do it through email, sometimes they'll say email me to show to tell me if you want an audition, or sometimes they'll be like message me on Messenger, which is a Facebook messaging app. And so if they see your face on there, I feel like they're more likely to respond. This is just my theory. But I recently started having my profile picture on my Facebook. And when I used to not have it, people would still reply, but I feel like they're more likely to reply if you have a face, because they're like, okay, this is a real person, or at least they have a picture on there. And it's not just this random blank profile picture, because they might think it's a scam or something. The downside of that is if you show your face, they might be able to just look at you and not give you an audition, because it's like, oh, she doesn't look like she's fit for the role. She looks too young or too old, or you're not what we're looking for. So that's just the downside, or you might not be what they're looking for based off of your profile picture. But that's the downside of that. And I think that happened to me recently. I'm not sure, because I was on a Facebook group that had a casting call for a commercial, and I sent in a message, and I was like, I'm interested, and then this person got back to me, and then they said, thanks, we'll keep in touch. And then they never kept in touch. And the day that the commercial was going to be filming came and went, and I said, alright, they didn't pick me. And I didn't even get to audition, so I'm like, did my profile picture cause me some harm or what? But I guess it saved me the effort and time to I didn't have to audition and waste my time on that one. So, is it a blessing? I guess so. And not a curse. I would have wasted so much time on that audition just for them to not pick me. But open casting calls, I love open casting calls. Especially the ones for bigger companies. I think it gives people the opportunity to audition and audition for things that they probably would have never gotten if they didn't have that open casting call. But like I said, with open casting calls, some of them are for the bigger companies. If you're trying to get on a bigger company, most of the time they're looking for very niche people, very specific people. So I saw someone, it was like, we're looking for, it was for The Last of Us. They were looking for an actor who could do a specific type of ASL and who was a deaf African American. And so that's a very specific thing, and that's the only open casting call they did for The Last of Us HBO show. So things like that, that's kind of what those bigger open casting calls are for, very niche and specific actors. But not all the time. Sometimes they just want to do it. Like Mindy Kaling, she recently did one for her new Netflix show, a basketball type of show. And Never Have I Ever too. I kind of patrol her social media to see if she's going to drop any more casting calls, but that's the one you can go look at if you fit the descriptions for her open casting calls when she does them. So next topic is the working actor. So this is you can say, the downside of being an actor and the opposite side of what we normally see, which is Hollywood actors. Those in Hollywood, when people say they are an actor, and people like to mention acting, people often associate it with being a millionaire or being in Hollywood, Oscars, all those different things. But in reality, there was a statistic. It was like that's like maybe 1% of actors who are in Hollywood making millions. Most actors don't make that much. And as I was saying in my other videos, I haven't made anything from acting. And I am new, of course, but I haven't made anything. And what I have seen where they are doing casting calls with money, especially without agencies, and you're doing it locally on these Facebook groups, they're giving you $100 for 10 hours of work, which is a lot compared to the free stuff that people have. But $100 for 10 hours, decent, I guess. But you're not going to pay the bills with that. This is where the working actor comes in. And even those people with agencies, you're still not making a lot of money with an agency. So the working actor is an actor who is acting, but they also work another job too. And I'm not a working actor because I'm not in a position where I need to work, but eventually I'll have to get a job as well as act. But for now, I'm just trying to build up my resume as an actress and then try to get an agency and then go from there. But everyone's always like, you need a backup plan. And I do have a backup plan. I want to do something within sports, specifically women's sports, so I can do that as well. But that's going to require me to go probably to university and things like that. That's my backup plan, but I don't even have the details figured out, which I probably should begin on that. But the working actor is someone who works, and most actors are working actors, by the way. You have to have 1, 2, 3 jobs, and then you're also acting on top of that, just so you can maintain yourself while you're finding acting gigs, while you're trying to break in. So this is the reality of actors. So if you want to be an actor, you're probably going to be a working actor until you can break in. And breaking in isn't something like, all right, it's 5 years, I'm going to break in. All right, it's 10 years, I'm going to break in. Or there's no set date. Basically what I'm trying to say. There's no set date to breaking in. And I know that. So I'm not someone who's going into this being naive. I've done my research and I've seen things and I know it's going to be a struggle. And I'm telling you, if you're a new actor, it's going to be a struggle. Rejection's the name of the game, and failure's the name of the game before you can succeed. Most actors, you hear them, even the successful, famous ones, everyone's successful. Even me, I'm successful. right? Because we've booked jobs before. But I mean, they think of yourself as successful rather than a failure, no matter how many rejections you've gotten, because you actually put yourself in that position to do what you love. So you're successful. Because most people wouldn't even dare achieve their goals. Not most people, but some people don't want to achieve their goals, and they're kind of too scared to do it, like I was with acting, and I'm still a bit terrified. I won't lie about that. Anyways, so even the famous A-lister actors that we see, they also had to be working actors too before they got the success that they got. I always mention her, but Io Debris, she was a barista. She worked at a restaurant, taxi driver, somebody, one of the actors, I don't want to say the wrong name, but one of the older male actors, he was a taxi driver. There's plenty of stories. Some of them were models. You can be a model too, part-time. I feel like that's tough too. I don't know anything about modeling. Like baristas, I've seen actors who are working in the airports. I forgot what they call them though, but working airports, baristas, bartenders, security, different things like that. I think Terry Crews started as a security guy, and he was working security on a set. And the movie was a Denzel Washington movie where he was in prison. I forgot what the movie was, but they said they saw Terry and they saw him and they put him as an extra in the movie. That was his first big acting break, and he loved it so much. Now he's a big name actor. If you read Jenna Fisher's book, she'll tell you all the jobs that she did while she was trying to act and break into the industry. She did a variety of jobs, and she even lied her way to get to where she is too. Not like fully lying, but she had to read the book, you'll see, but she had to lie to her job saying she was sick, but she's really at an event. Anyways, with a bunch of actors and stuff. But different things like that. And I've seen there's actors, so Kurt Yu, going back to him, he actually got on a Zoom call with a bunch of his actor friends, and they all were talking about their jobs that they did as working actors. And someone was one of those, I forgot, why am I forgetting so much? But I forgot what it's called, but whenever the people that sell your homes, it starts with an R, right? I don't know, but she was one of those people who sells homes and helps people find their dream home and stuff like that. Someone worked at I forgot even, I don't know why I'm forgetting so much, but the people in your airplanes who help you with your stuff, they give you peanuts, water, snacks. Not a pilot, I don't know. I guess because I'm thinking off top of my head, think about too much, so I can't think about that. With those different jobs, And the thing about working actors that I've found through my own research is that you have to find a job. You're not going to probably like this job, but maybe find a job that you don't mind doing. But you're going to have to get a job that is flexible. Flexibility is key as an actor, because maybe for like 4 months you're not going to have a job, and then the 5th month you're on like 4 different jobs, and your main job that you're doing that helps pay your bills is you can afford to do that with your flexible job. Or when you're away for several weeks filming or months, your job will let you do that. So you just have to find a flexible job that you like. And I found that most jobs are not willing to they don't really like actors working for them, because it's like, oh, there you go, try to be a movie star, you're going to abandon us, different things like that. I mean, that's just, you kind of have, some people say, maybe don't disclose that. Some people are like, you can disclose it so they know when it comes up, but some people might be a bit reluctant to give you a job if they know that you're an actor trying to become an actor, and you're going to be leaving the job for a few weeks or days because you're on a job, or you have to go leave for an audition, and they're not going to let you do that. That's why you have to build a good rapport with your people at your job, and as well as find a flexible one. And most actors do jobs where they're working as a bartender, or working jobs where you can work super late in the day. I'm talking like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. 12 a.m. jobs, because those are the jobs that are flexible, and those are the jobs that allows them to have the day to audition or do, movies or whatever, TV. We'll see what I end up doing. Those jobs don't sound interesting to me, so I had to find something to do. And obviously, I'm not a big YouTuber, so YouTube is not going to pay my bills. I think Kurt Yu might do. He might be like full-time YouTuber and actor. But he's pretty successful. He's been on Marvel and stuff. He's someone I suggest or would recommend you go watch his videos. He has really informative videos, and they're way better put together than mine. Next topic is scams. I've mentioned this before, scams, but be wary of the scams. Just like anywhere, they're going to scam you, and they're going to try to scam you and try to take advantage of you. Especially, they try to take advantage of people, scammers do, of people who are very, very hungry. Hungry for the job, hungry for the work, hungry for money. Well, hungry for that gig, So they're going to try to scam you because you're not going to pay attention because you're so focused and hyper-focused on trying to get the acting job. You're not really looking in detail at, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. You're just going to be like, I see an opportunity. That's why they're going to try to scam you. And nowadays, it's super hard to tell what's legit and what's not legitimate. There are some things online. You can go to Reddit page in r/scams, and you can post something on there, and you can ask them if it's a scam or not, and they'll be able to help you. The community will be able to help you figure out if it's a scam or not. And you can go to r/acting and post that post that you saw and ask them if it's a scam or not. And they can help you decipher if you need a group of people to help you. And as I mentioned earlier, how to help with scams for me on my own is I'll look into the people or person who ever put the casting call up. And what I mentioned earlier is what you do. You want to look up their profile picture, or you want to look at their profile on social media. You want to scan everything that they possibly have on their pages. And on top of that, you want to look them up on the internet and see what you can find. And also, this is for casting directors, but also you can look on that website, I'll link below, and search up casting directors, and the legitimate ones will pop up. And I think maybe SAG-AFTRA might have some. If they're maybe a bigger name actor, you can find them that way too. Or a bigger name casting director, producer, director, all that, you can find them. And with smaller peoples and production companies, directors, casting directors, all those people, when they're smaller name ones, they're probably not going to pop up when you search them. And some people on Facebook specifically, they don't have much about them on their social medias. This is where you just have to trust your gut. And if you maybe ask around, does this look legitimate? Maybe your friends, family, neighbors, if you're close, you can ask them, does this look legitimate to you? Because sometimes you need a second opinion. But like I've learned, sometimes you're not going to have people to help you. So you just have to trust yourself and trust your gut. If you get the smallest feeling that something isn't right, don't do it. Even if it's very tiny, don't do it. It's better safe than sorry, no matter what's being promised, no matter how much money they're going to give you, or how many, or what even production company they're saying they're from. If they're talking about Disney Plus or Netflix and your eyes get big and wide, but you have that feeling like, this doesn't seem legit, don't do it. I know, you're like, but it's Netflix. You're like, it mostly isn't Netflix, but maybe it is. The thing with casting calls is sometimes they're not through the actual companies, they're through casting directors. And some people will take screenshots of what the actual casting director put out, and they're going to put that on their social media pages. And these people taking the original photo and posting it on their social medias, they're not legitimate people, and they're going to try to scam you that way. But not all the time it's a scam. You just got to be wary about that. And also, since it's social media and people can comment, look at the comments too, because someone might be like, this is a scam. or someone might warn you about it or warn you about these people. I was on Facebook and someone put out a casting call, and all the comments were talking about this person who put out this casting call. Like, this person was a horrible person, this person scamming, all this and all that. So I just avoided that. But there was also an instance where I had found my most recent project I did in April. They put out a casting call. And the comments were saying it was a scam. But I found out, I did my own research, and I found out after I did the production, it was not a scam. All the comments were full of scam, but he wasn't scamming. I actually worked with him. It wasn't even a scam at all. It was a nice production that I was part of, an acting gig that I had. So you just have to be wary, be mindful, trust yourself, trust your gut, and look into those things. Because like I said, just as many real things out there, there's just as many fake things out there. And another thing is, you should know this, but if someone's saying, meet me at this hotel to audition, do not go to that hotel. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I've seen people popping up, they're talking about an audition and they end up going to this hotel. Now, the people I've heard, they haven't had any bad experiences at the hotel, but just don't go to the hotel, alright? And if it's not a legitimate place, don't go either. If they're like, hey, meet me in this back alley to audition, don't do that. You just gotta look into the people, look into the places before you go, do your checks, Google Maps, go on the web, search it up, all these different things. And as I said, most stuff now is self-tape. And in-person auditions, I've seen them, they usually do them at like theaters or some universities. So you don't need to go to someone's house to audition. No. And ask these people as many questions as humanly possible. Even if you feel like you're being annoying or a nuisance or overkill, just ask as many questions as possible, because if they're real people, then they'll be willing to answer. And if they don't want to answer, then that's not the job for you. Because why don't they want to answer your questions? Ask questions, ask them, when is it, where is it, how long are we going to be there? I don't know, ask as many questions as you can think about for your safety, because it's about your safety, because no one's going to be there to help you, because you're on your own, really. This is for, even with agencies too, but this is for without an agency, because as I said, agencies, there's a little bit more of a filtering process, and the agencies are responsible for finding jobs and legitimate jobs for you as the actor. But when you're on your own doing Facebook and social media searching for casting calls, you have to be that filter for yourself. And that's when connections are big too, because when you already know these people and you already know what they can do and that you feel safe with them, you work with them and you won't come across a problem where you're going to be involved in a dangerous situation. Do your research before you audition, and after all of these checks, everything is a-okay, then you can audition. But even after you audition, and even maybe when you get the part and you feel something funny about it, don't go. And if you're there, you can leave too. And if you get a funny feeling, you can leave. Because what are they going to do about it? Obviously, some people might be afraid that they'll blackball you or whatever, but your safety is important here. Just remember that. And I have to remember that too. I've never come across situations where I felt unsafe or felt an inkling of danger. And I trust myself to feel that and be able to be like, nope. And stand up for yourself too when you're on sets and when you're with people. You have to be able to put your foot down and say no. Don't be like, no, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that. Be stern. Let them know you don't want to do it, and if they don't want to change that, it's not the place for you. But it's kind of different with contracts and stuff. I don't really know how that works. I never had a contract. I have had to sign some paperwork. Neither here nor there. Also, you do have to sign documents too, even for smaller productions too, NDAs and different things like that. And don't talk about it, even if it's a small production and you're like, no, they're not gonna see this. Just don't talk about it. Just save yourself the legal trouble. So my next topic here is, don't compare yourself to others. Don't do it. I know I struggle with this a lot. I'm guilty of comparing myself to other people in life in general, and especially other actors, but I have to remember that I am not a seasoned actor. I'm not someone who has been doing this for a billion years. I'm just someone who's been doing it for a few months, and me compared to someone else around my age who is successful in the industry, that's way different because they've been acting since they were 5, and I've just started. And even if you haven't just started, still don't compare yourself to others because, as I mentioned, we're all on our own unique journeys. We all have different times that we're going to achieve different things, so don't compare yourself to others. I do it all the time though. I'm guilty of it, as I mentioned, but we just have to try to remind ourselves that in due time, our time will come. It's their time now, our time will be later. Remember that. I often go, they're so successful at such a young age, and I'm over here and I'm like, haven't done anything in my life. That's what I often talk about, just with everything, And we have to remember our paths are different. I keep saying it, but you have to remember that. And remember, if you're my age or however old you are, these people have been acting for years. Even if you have been acting for years, don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you do have and look at what you have achieved already. Most of the time we see the successes and not the failures of these big A-list actors. I know I'm like, wow, beating up on the A-listers. I don't mean any harm. I have a lot of favorites of my favorite A-list actors, but we see a lot of these successes, but we don't see the failures. And just know that they have failed many, many times. They have been rejected many, many times. And quite a few of them even talk about their failures and rejections, but we don't often hear about those, and we don't often see about those. So even if you see an actor, singer, someone at your job, or anything really, you see them just randomly blow up out of nowhere, and they're just in the limelight all of a sudden. You didn't know them like 2 months ago. Don't think that they are just new and they just got hoisted up out of nowhere like they're the chosen ones. Those people have been at it for years, just like you have. Or maybe you've just started, but they've been at it for years. And they got to that point because they kept working. So always keep working, keep your head up, and keep going. Because you might be the chosen one. I might be it. I don't know, you might see this and you might be like, yo, that's her from the Oscars, oh my gosh. I would love that, because this would be so cool if people were to see this. If I just happened to randomly be on the Oscars one of these days and you're like, is that Chronically Aria, the YouTuber? Then you know I didn't give up, and I achieved great things. I do hope I'm not one of the failures within this industry. A lot of people just quit, and acting is fun once you get past the tough parts of it. You just have to remember why you're doing it. As an actor, know your why. Remind yourself of the why whenever you get down. Why do you want to act? Ask that question to yourself and answer it right now. That's your why. Keep it in your brain, even when you get rejected 50, 60, 80, 100,000 times. Remember your why so you can keep going. And I'll mention the rapper NF quotes. I'll mention him again. I'll quote him again. So you keep on thinking that artist is new, but that artist has probably been at it for years. That quote sums up what I've been talking about here. Don't compare yourself to others. Well, you're like, oh, this artist is 28 and he it randomly blew up. Or he's 28 and he's like a really big name actor, and I'm 28 and I haven't even broken in. I haven't even got a lead role yet, But he's 28, you're 28. He broke in at 28. You might break in at 32. You never know. 29. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's just no time. There's no time to tell with these things. I was gonna bring up Chappell Roan. She's a singer. I was gonna bring up her story, but that's not acting, but she didn't think she was gonna blow up like she has blown up. And when she's 24, no, she's 26, 27. So, and it took her a few years. She even got dropped from her label. That's a good story to have for perseverance as well, too. And look where she's at now. So, I mean, that's not an actor story. There's plenty of actor stories you can have and hear that I've looked up and seen. but that's just a singer story that can be used here with perseverance. Just keep on pushing. Some people say, am I too old? Have I started acting too late? Sometimes I'm like, have I started too late? Because I knew when I was 14, but I see these kids at 5 or 6 acting. Now, some of them, they probably don't do that on their own. Their parents probably push them to do that, but some of these kids, they started when they're 5, and now they're, in their 20s, and they've broken in. And you're kind of like, maybe I should have started earlier. We kind of get that in our heads, like, maybe we should have started acting earlier, but you started when you were supposed to start. And some people, I've seen them say, am I too old? Like, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. They're like, am I too old to be starting acting? And I'll bring up, he's one of the ones in my mind. So, Harrison Ford, he didn't get his big break until 40. I think it was with Star Wars or something like that. So, that's just another example of you never know when you're going to break in. You never know. You're never too old either. That's a good example of that. And there's plenty of 60 years old. And that's the thing with acting that I like to say. You can do that from a very young age and a very older age too. I've seen 90-year-olds acting. I've seen 3-year-olds acting. It's a job you can do at any age. There's no age out limit or, age limit for this. So I'll talk about another downside. I kind of touched on this a bit. It might not be tangible to keep going, especially if you haven't broken in after several years and you are struggling to even pay the bills and get groceries. I've seen stories of actors living out of their cars and different things like that. Sometimes it's just not tangible, and most actors, they quit not because of acting, they quit because they couldn't act. They couldn't get any acting gigs or acting jobs. When your main goal is to act and you're not even acting, and some people put all their eggs in one basket, and they're acting, but they're not making any money from it. Well, now you don't have any money for food, house, nothing like that. And even if you're doing like Facebook group work or something, you can't live off of $100 for 10 hours of work. You just can't live off, or for free. You can't live off of that. I mean, you just have to make a decision. Do you want to be a working actor? Do you want to put all your eggs in one basket? When do you want to keep going, or when do you want to give up? And you can take breaks too. You can quit it for a few years and then come back to it. You don't have to just do that, acting all this time. But that's one of the downsides of acting, is that it's a very wishy-washy thing. So I'll mention a famous actor, Bella Ramsey. So Bella Ramsey got the Ellie role in The Last of Us, and they were like, I hadn't worked for 8 months even after The Last of Us. And I was shocked. I was like, Bella didn't work for 8 months after one of the biggest shows released in 2023? That just blew my mind. But even then, even the big name actors and actresses, you just don't know with this industry. And that's why some people say backup plan is key. Just find out what you're interested in, your hobbies, and pick from there what you want to do as a backup plan, and have one in your back pocket. It doesn't mean you're going to fail or anything. It just means just so you can have that, just so you know, because if you do happen to fail, which we're not going to speak into existence, we want success for myself and everybody. I want success for everybody and myself. But it's just to have that backup plan, because it's so wishy-washy. No one expected the strikes, no one expected the pandemic, but that stopped a lot of people from working. In general, anything could happen, so backup plans are key. And I see comments all the time whenever someone talks about acting and actors, and they're like, oh, they're all millionaires. I'm like, who's they? I'm not a millionaire. Like, I don't know who they is. I'm not a millionaire. But people often equate acting to millionaire, and that's not the truth. 1% of actors are millionaires, and the other 99, they're the people that are, not all people are struggling, but they're the people that aren't making even $70K a year. not even 10K a year, not even 1K a year. I've made $0 a year, so that's just kind of how it is. I see this is a trend that I've seen is that when you get that one big role, is what I always say. You need one big role and it'll change your entire career. But that one big role is, you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to arrive into your life. But usually when I see people, they get that one big role of a lifetime that many people would love to have in their careers, and they just start blowing up, and you just see them everywhere, and they get role after role after role after role. That's what I mean by one big role. And being a big name actor, that'll get you jobs too, just for having a big name. Because now, as we often see, a lot of those big name actors, they're in everything. You see, I know some people say, I'm tired of seeing the same actors in all these movies. And that's just kind of how it is. If you have a big name, you're going to be put in movies because your name essentially sells. If we're being honest here. That's why you see some of the same actors in films and TV, because they're like, this is a huge celebrity, let's put them in our movie. Or you see a lot of celebrities in movies. They're like, if we have this celebrity in our movie, people are going to go watch it, people are going to go see it. So sometimes they're less reluctant to hire people like me, smaller actors, or just smaller actors in general, because like, this person doesn't have a big name. They're not going to give us the money that we put into this production. Give us back the money that we put into this production. And that's why you see a lot of open casting calls going with already famous actors. And plus, these are famous actors. You already know what they're going to bring to the table. They don't know what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm a new actor. They don't know my history. They don't know me. They don't know my work. So they don't have that. I don't have a reputation. And that's kind of a downside to that. But you just have to carve your own path and become that big name. Alright, so I'm nearing the end of this finally after 5 parts. This part is the longest part, and I doubt if anyone's going to watch this whole thing. But here are some, well, like I said, I'm dropping the resources down below if I can figure out how that's going to work. I'll drop those down below, and you can look at the resources because I want to share what I have with other people. I'm like, most people don't do that, so let me be the one to help. But as I am someone who isn't as experienced, my resources aren't going to be like, here's my connection to the HBO head executive office or whatever. I don't have that type of connection or that type of resource. My resources just kind of are things I found on the internet, which is easily accessible to anyone with internet or a phone or a computer or anything like that. So it's something you can do at home, which is what I've been doing. So with acting, I'm learning that it did scare me, and it still kind of does. I still get a little bit nervous every time I see a casting call that I can do. I'm like, here we go. Because it is nervous getting that script in. I see the script coming in, my heart just goes, but you have to do it. And you never know until you try, so just keep pushing, keep going. I'm trying to think of other things I can say here, but I pretty much spilled it all. I mean, 5-part series. I did a whole entire 3 movies in this part series video. So this can be an interactive thing, since this is the final part. And if you watch this video and my other parts, what is something that you've learned from this video? So I know I wasn't just yapping into thin air and nobody was picking up what I was putting down or learning anything from this. Let me know something that you've learned, and let me know if this was a very insightful and helpful video. And if I come across anything else, and I think about anything else to mention, I'll make a video about that. Or if there's anything you want me to talk about, you can put it down in the comments below. And if I can answer it with my knowledge, then my limited knowledge, then I'll answer it. But yet again, if you do have questions, you can go on. There's plenty of pages that help you, that'll answer your questions, but you can go on the Reddit group that I mentioned earlier, r/acting. You can search that up, r/acting, and you can find questions to your answers, or answers to your question in that Reddit. Always go to Reddit. But that is this video. wish me luck in my career and my endeavors, and I wish you luck in your career, in your endeavors, whatever that is, whether it's acting or it's not acting. See ya.